Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes, Start Your Morning Right. I'm Marlene Cuellar.
Paul Lopez.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's Friday, Marlene.
TGIF.
And it's a long weekend ahead.
That is right. This is our first midsummer long weekend.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you, but it's always good to get a little break on Monday, especially. We should start every week on Tuesday. I think
interesting.
That would bring some sort of lightness and refreshment to the week.
It's not a novel idea. There are countries that look into shorter work weeks, but I don't know if we're there yet. We have shorter hours due to the pay cut now with public service, I find everybody enjoys a long weekend. Very few people, I think, dread when they hear that they have an extra day for the weekend, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be moving around.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm already hearing from friends and some relatives that, hey, we're booking hotels for the weekend, we're taking camping trips for the weekend. I know that some people, they've put off some celebrations, some birthday celebrations from a couple of weeks back to have it over this weekend. So people will be moving around for the long weekend because, well, you don't have to rush to come back on Saturday to get ready for work, to use Sunday to get ready for work on Monday. So,
take advantage of it for sure.
For sure.
And that's such a good thing. I think of how much the hotels have been happy with the local travel that they've had, and how they've had really great rates for Belizeans as well that they can take advantage of. Speaking of which, actually, our good friend Dwayne Moody from the newsroom he is a influencer for the BTV.
Belizean traveler.
Yeah,
so we have some exciting stuff that will be coming up in the newscast tonight. He did a tour in San Ignacio, in the Cayo district in specific. He did a tour up there, and I saw the promo and I was like, all right, Dwayne. Just the way he jumped in bed.
When he was announced to be an influencer, I was voting for him to do horseback riding because he's really scared of doing it, right? So it'll be interesting to see.
Did he do some horseback riding?
We're gonna find out.
We are. I know that he did. He climbed the Caracol. Yeah, so I saw some of that, and it was
it was a sped up version.
It was a sped up version.
Yes. But he did. It's a really interesting program that the BTV has done. They have people from different media houses going around the country just showcasing what the country has to offer. People like Sean Quillen did it as well. Sean headed down south, and Dwayne headed to the west. And people had to vote. So I think for him, his options were traditional Maya food making and going to see the iguanas. Was that it?
Right,
yeah. And so the food won. So we'll get to see that, and that's happening tonight in the newscast, so people can see it there.
I know Dwayne worked really hard on it. As much as he enjoyed it, he had to come back to the studio to do some work. He worked really hard on it, and so I'm looking forward to it.
And what's great is it can give you ideas. As the long weekend comes closer, you can check out what he did in Cayo. And the good thing about Cayo, especially for people in this part of the country, it can be a day trip. If you really can't afford to overnight, then you can always make it a day trip into the west and then come back home safely before curfew, of course.
You know what's amazing, Marlene? Oftentimes when we think about vacationing, we think about the beach, We think about probably Placencia, Key Corker, San Pedro. But then when you see the fun and the excitement that Dwayne experienced in Cayo, it's like, what? There are actually things to do in Cayo. The pet and iguana. I don't know how exciting that is for many people.
You don't want it like crawling all over your head. And have you done it before?
I've never done it. I'm a bit afraid of iguanas. I've had some traumatic experiences. I grew up in a village.
Wait. What's traumatic? What kind of traumatic encounter can you have with an iguana? It runs away from you.
Well, in the process of running away from it, it ran towards me because there was someone running after it, and I was in front of the iguana to try and stop it and catch it. You know, as a little boy, village boy, you grow up, you do these things. And so there was this huge iguana coming after me, and that's what I saw. But I know that the iguana was running from me, but I saw it coming after me. And yeah, let's just say I don't necessarily want to come face to face with one again, and just reptiles in a whole, stay away from them.
I think we have a live snake coming in today, just in case. So you can.
Can I leave?
We've done that before, so
really?
don't tempt us. Yeah. We had the zoo bring a big boa one time. That was interesting. Try sitting still while there's a big snake on set with you, or a tiger, because we've got a tiger on set too.
You probably get me on set with the tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not with any serpents.
You know, you say that, but then when you're sitting, trying to have a conversation, you have a tiger in your line, a live tiger in your line of sight. You're like, what all can go wrong here right now? But, and speaking of which, I think it's also a good time to plug that people can go to the zoo as well. Yeah. They're always looking, they have definitely been impacted financially by the loss of tourism over the past year. And they really do need Belizeans to come on out and support them. And the kids love the zoo, whether you go every weekend or every month or once a year, they always love going back.
It's interesting how much kids love the zoo. It's always a fun trip for the kids. So if you think your kids have been locked up in the house all week or for the past couple of weeks, and school is reopening, so schools are reopening. So if you want to give them a little fun day trip, the zoo is a good place to go.
I love how you threw in that little buzzkill for the kids today. Schools reopening. But it was interesting to hear the minister yesterday saying that they are optimistic that they're going to return back to the classroom at the end of next month. Yeah,
and I threw in a buzzkill for the children, but the teachers as well. I mean,
I think the parents are happy.
Well, of course.
We'll see.
Of course.
But there's a lot going on right now. And while we can talk about fun and jokes, because it is the weekend and we start to lighten up, we cannot forget that we are still in the midst of the COVID pandemic. And we hear very clearly that from the police perspective, they're going to be cracking down a lot more in looking at people who break the regulations for COVID. And that includes social gatherings, that includes people who are not wearing masks and not wearing them properly, and social distancing, and even regulations when it comes to things like restaurants and and churches.
Yeah, well, the question is, how serious is the police department this time around about really cracking down on these issues? Because we've heard it time and time again, them saying that we'll crack down on these issues, we'll be out there. They've issued press releases saying this. But when you think about the limited police staffing, for example, you question the manpower that they have to actually do this. When you think about the COVID-19 fatigue among
everyone?
Among everyone, including the police officers. Sometimes you question what is their mental state in dealing with these small violations.
And especially in rural communities, because let's be honest, they can't be everywhere. I don't know how much they're utilizing like the special constables that are in individual communities. I imagine that they're included in this effort. But we do have a personal responsibility too, Paul. And I think while we talk very often, and we should, about what the Ministry of Home Affairs is doing, and we talk about what the Ministry of Health is doing, we can't neglect to include that we individually have a responsibility. I was watching the U.S. news this morning as they're talking about breakthrough infections, and they're talking about the current concerns that they have when they're seeing these escalating cases, and new advice on using masks indoors if you are in a place that has a high number of unvaccinated people or a high number of cases as well. So we are not out of the woods. And I know that's not something we want to think about, because we are exhausted of living like this, but it can get worse. And I think maybe that's, yesterday we had a doctor that really put it into perspective. It can get a lot worse. So we have to do what we have to do now so we don't face the crisis where our hospitals are overrun, where we're losing loved ones, because there are just so many severe cases.
And in a sense, the Delta variant has changed the whole game.
Yeah.
It has transformed the entire landscape.
Yeah.
I read one U.S. news article that compared the infection rate of the Delta variant to the chicken pox, saying it is as infectious or contagious as the chicken pox. So you know how the chicken pox goes. You just rub side of somebody, want to leave it too much, and bam, you end up with the chicken pox.
And I think Minister Shabat, when he was on the show, he mentioned that. He said in prior waves that we've had, people were, you were finding an infected person in a house, and maybe, one other person was infected, or no other person. But now, when you find one infected person, the entire household has COVID-19.
Right.
So that really shows, and I think Dr. Friesen said, this is essentially 100% more transmissible than the strain we were seeing last year. So all the little breaks that we got, maybe you came in contact with someone who's COVID-19 and you didn't get it, so you thought, oh, it's not so bad. That's not happening anymore. Delta has definitely changed it, and the other variants as well.
And what came at the fore of the news last night in relation to the pandemic is the situation in Spanish Lookout, the community of Spanish Lookout. I mean, the commissioner himself said that he took a trip down there and he was surprised by what he saw in terms of people not adhering to the regulations, specifically where mask wearing is concerned. So it is a concern what's happening in Spanish Lookout, at least for the authorities. I know that persons in Spanish Lookout, they have positions of their own where that is concerned. But it was prompted apparently after 2 elderly persons passed away in Spanish Lookout due to COVID-19. So no one, in a sense, is safe from this virus, regardless of what your beliefs are, regardless of how protected you feel you are using certain treatments. We see that the virus can affect you where you are.
And as we've been continuously saying, we do have a vaccine available.
Yeah.
And it's something that when I read stories about countries that are that don't have sufficient vaccinations, they don't have access to vaccinations at this time, I think to myself, and here we are, we're still battling the misinformation that's out there about vaccinations. So it is a choice that you have. You can go out and get vaccinated, or in certain situations you will be asked to present a COVID-19 test. I know they said yesterday that they are looking, Minister Shabbat said it, Minister Musa said it yesterday as well, that they are looking at the possibility of giving incentives to people who have been vaccinated.
More freedom.
I saw your sigh of relief there.
Of course, I didn't take those 2 jobs for nothing. Come on.
You want to be rewarded for good behavior.
Right. And that's a good segue to speak about the fact that we also have at least one nurse selling fake COVID-19 cards. Could you imagine somebody paying $300 for something they could get for free?
Yeah.
You could get that card for free, and now all you have to do is take the vaccine.
But you know what's even more concerning? I think it's also just undermining. I don't know where the nurse works. I don't know if she's ever worked in a COVID ward, but people can die from this disease.
Right.
We cannot forget that this is a disease that initially affected mostly elderly people, but as we see now, the research is showing that it is affecting a younger and younger population. You have people who get severe COVID that require hospitalization that are in their 20s. 30s, 40s. We saw that in India. We saw that in other parts of the world. So not only are you just selling a fake vaccination card, but you're also giving someone a false sense of protection who could be spreading the disease and potentially threatening the lives of others and even threatening their own life as well.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but, you know, as I said, the vaccination campaign continues. And for me, I think the numbers are promising. We're seeing 1,000, 2,000 new vaccinations a day. So we're getting more and more people. I think the loud voices of misinformation lead us to believe that there are more people who are vaccine hesitant than there actually are, because we see these stories, we do the reports, we see people going out and getting vaccinated. This is Thursday's report, and they had 2,700 people vaccinated in one day. So let's keep these numbers up and the COVID cases numbers down.
That's almost half, well, quarter of the population, perhaps just around quarter of the population, 1/4 already receiving their first job. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for Belize, and 49
almost 50,000
fully vaccinated. So there's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope for us.
We do want to remind people, though, if you've had your first dose, you're not protected yet. Like, you still have to behave as if you've not been vaccinated, because you're not fully protected till a few weeks after that second dose.
And it's good to remind people that, yes, we're having a long weekend, but just keep in mind that the curfew was changed to 10 o'clock. We don't want to, you don't want to get caught slipping, thinking or believing that the curfew is still at 11. So just keep in mind the curfew is still at 10. It's now at 10, sorry.
All right. Well, that's a lot of conversation, but we got to get moving into our show for today. And we're going to kick you off this Friday with some motivation to get you started. So that means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. If you aren't a naturally happy person, take time each day to cultivate that which brings you happiness. It can be so easy to get caught up in the rigors of modern life that we tend to forget that happiness need not come with stipulations. Happiness becomes something we must schedule and strive for, a hard-won emotion. And then only when we have no worries occupy our thoughts. In reality, overwhelming joy is not the exclusive province of those with unlimited time and no troubles to speak of. Many of the happiest people on earth are also those coping with the most serious challenges. They have learned to make time for those simple yet superb pleasures that can be enjoyed quickly and easily. Cultivating a happy heart takes no more than 5 minutes. The resultant delight will be neither complex nor complicated, but it will be profound and will serve as a reminder that there is always a reason to smile.
Happiness.
Yeah, it starts with a smile.
It starts with...
I'm a firm believer, even on my worst days, that if I just take the effort to make sure I smile at another person, it starts to become a bit more infectious.
Happiness also starts with Fridays.
Duly noted.
But it also definitely starts with a smile, and I think it starts also with a heart of gratitude. Sitting down and taking 5 minutes out of your day, count the things that you can be thankful for today, because there's so many things that you can be thankful for, you know. So that's another place that happiness starts.
All right. So, and you know, I agree with you. I think that it starts with just being able to count the simple blessings that you do have that you take for granted.
Right.
That in fact you probably never knew you were so happy for until you're robbed of it.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
once you take that assessment, you know, you wake up in the morning, you can open your eyes, you can move yourself out of your bed, you have a home, you have a bed, you have breakfast, you have a job maybe that you don't want to go to, but you're employed. And there are all these little, you have a loved one, or your children who come to greet you with joy and happiness. There's so many reasons to be happy. And I think even when things are challenging, you have to be able to hold on to those.
So did you take time this morning to jumpstart your happiness? I'm asking you.
Me? Yeah. I find my time in the morning. Coffee makes me happy too.
There you go.
But I do have like a routine in the morning that really just sets the right tone for me. So.
Yeah, that's important to have a routine.
And I'm happy to be here on this Friday and happy to talk to our forecaster to find out what our extended weekend weather will be like. We have Angelia Guy on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Okay, you?
Not too bad. It's a long weekend ahead, and everybody wants to know, is it good to head to the beach?
Oh, we're expecting another increase in shower activities tomorrow.
Uh-oh. All right. So let's start with today then. What can we expect?
Okay, today we expect a few showers and isolated thunderstorms around the country, but mostly over southern areas. And then, like I said, an increase tomorrow.
Okay. And the winds for today?
The winds will be generally from the east at 5 to 15 knots today.
And let's talk about our temperatures. How warm is it going to be?
Okay, high temperatures will reach about 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 93 inland, and about 82 in the hills.
All right. And for tonight?
The low temperatures tonight will range from 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 75 inland, and 66 in the hills.
All right. Now let's talk about this weekend weather. What exactly can we expect?
Okay, we expect a few thunderstorms and some showers around the country tomorrow, and then decreasing late tomorrow night.
Okay. So it'll only be a day of rain?
Yeah, it should be only tomorrow, and then Sunday should be generally okay.
Okay. All right. I think we can manage with that.
Yeah, of course.
Now, we are in the hurricane season, so please let us know, is there anything we need to be monitoring?
Okay, at this time there is no tropical cyclone formation expected during the next couple of days.
All right. That's some great news you deliver there for us, Angelia.
Okay, let me just ask quickly, is there any parts of the country that can expect some above normal inches of rains over the weekend? I see this big ball of storm coming up our way, and I'm wondering how many inches of rain will that bring?
Storms.
Storm. It's a weather system coming up.
Where?
Below us.
Below us?
Sorry, you're probably not looking at the same graphics that I'm looking at. But
have you refreshed it?
Okay, perhaps I haven't. But I'm asking about the inches of rain across the country. What can we expect?
I did not calculate that this morning, but we don't expect anything above
normal. Alrighty, thank you.
So it's not going to be a lot of showers coming in tomorrow?
Not really.
Okay.
All right, Angelia. Well, thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
You have a great day and weekend.
Okay, you too.
Okay.
Angela definitely sounds excited.
Yeah. Well, so we got some rain coming tomorrow, but don't you worry. It's supposed to be just one day, and then you have Sunday and Monday to still enjoy.
Yeah, well.
All right. So, Paul, getting into today's show, I think this is a really critical conversation that I've been looking forward to.
Yeah.
This is the first year that we will be celebrating Emancipation Day in Belize. And yes, while we are all happy about an extended weekend, it is a really important celebration, something that we're commemorating for the first time in this country. So we're going to try to find out more and help us all understand about the importance of Emancipation Day, why it matters to us here in Belize, and what it means, especially for those of us in the rest of the region has been celebrating this day for quite a while, and what it means now that we get to enjoy and to appreciate this moment as well. So our first conversation is going to be with a history lecturer from SJC, Delmer Zib, to talk about the history of Emancipation Day and what it means for us.
And then in our second segment, and yes, I'm looking forward to that first segment conversation. In our second segment, we broke it down with Jenny. She tackles the issue of mental stress. You know, COVID-19 pandemic, work stress, kids are at home, finances, all of that stuff causes mental stress. And so she will be tackling that with us this morning, and she will be sharing tips on what to do when you're facing mental stress or having mental health issues.
Yeah, and I just got to jump in there and say, man, Simone Biles has really blew open this whole conversation about mental health. And in a different way, because we talk about anxiety, we talk about depression, we talk about mental illness. But she really, I think, has just opened up this conversation about how what seems to be a high-functioning person, how you can still struggle with challenges in stressful times. And so I'm really looking forward to Jenny's perspective on that in the second part of the show.
Definitely.
And then to close things off for today, I understand that you usually have a very early big breakfast.
I usually do, because I go to the gym early in the morning, and as soon as I come back from the gym, of course.
So you do the gym to have the big breakfast?
I do the gym so I could eat big during the day, perhaps. Yes.
Well, this is the type of story that I always look forward to for two reasons. One, there's food involved. But two, it's just one of those positive stories coming out of the pandemic. You know, we found little stories here or there where entrepreneurs are born in some of the most challenging times. And this is exactly what happened with this couple. The pandemic came, they lost their jobs, and now they have their own food business. And we'll hear all about their journey and sample their food in the final part of the show.
I'm looking forward to hearing about their journey.
And eat,
of course. Yes, and eat their
food. All right. We got to get moving into our show for today. But before we do, we got a birthday shout out. And so we have to say happy birthday to Arlette Maziah.
Yes.
Arlette, we hope you have a great day today. Do enjoy. Man, I hope you get to go to the beach, because that looks lovely behind you there. Enjoy your day. And that comes from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes.
Well, with that, we'll take our first break, and we will be right back with the history lecturer from SJC, Mr. Zib.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivors benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about Survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
It's time to put your TVs on lockdown. COVID won't stop us this time. After a year of waiting, Summerfest is back, pandemic style. If you're under the age of 18 and you think you have the talent, we are looking for you. Submit videos to us on Facebook, Instagram, and email. Or join us here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive to audition from July 26th to 30th from 10 a.m. to midday. Be a part of Summerfest 2021 and show Belize your talent.
And we're back, and we're moving into our first conversation for this morning. As we all get excited about the extended weekend ahead, it is a first-time celebration for Belize as we commemorate Emancipation Day. And it's a much bigger deal than just having a 3-day weekend. It is a very historically significant day. And here to teach us all about the history of it, we have the history lecturer from St. John's College, Delmer Zib. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you today, Delmer?
I'm doing extremely well. It's all about how you see the day. If you see it good, it will go good.
That's right.
Awesome.
Now, Delmer, I know we've all been talking about having an extended weekend, but we shouldn't miss the opportunity to be able to learn as much as we can about Emancipation Day itself. And this ties right back to our history and our connection with slavery in this region. So, Delmer, let's just dive right into this. Let's talk about the fact that Belize did not celebrate Emancipation Day while most of the other countries in the region did.
Well, actually, that's one of the things that I wanted to start off with, that this is very emotional, actually, for me, especially as a history lecturer, as a history teacher. I've been teaching about this topic for many years. We've been talking about it for many years as well. And it's emotional to now have it as a national celebration because there was a celebration. So well, I have participated. I've not been in the organizing committee, but the UEF, along with Yaya Marine Coleman, have been very steady in terms of organizing a commemoration almost every year. It is very emotional now because now that the government has supported the idea of celebrating emancipation, there's a lot more attention given to the topic of emancipation itself. Yeah. And it is very heartwarming to see the series of events that are going to happen, the educational tools that are coming out of the production of the celebration of Emancipation Day as well. And first of all, I want to say very clearly, one of the things about celebrating Emancipation Day is why until today?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the first questions that comes into my mind. I mean, emancipation occurred in 1838, so we're talking about over 100 years. Why is it that until today we're deciding to celebrate this? I wanted to go further and actually put some pointers out there.
Yes.
Where one of the discussions that we need to have is what really changed after emancipation. Emancipation was a social and a political, probably, transition that was happening. But on the ground, there were other things that were being placed by the masters. So yes, there was a transition. Yes, there was freedom. But then you also need to understand that there was economic things happening behind the scenes, aspects as it relates to access to land, labor contracts, cultural things such as the advance and truck system. All of those things were also put in place to sort of keep these persons or the former slaves tied to their ex-masters. So yes, we're celebrating freedom, but we need to have a serious discussion and a critical discussion that is as to how is it that the transition occurred from being an enslaved person to post 1838.
Can we dive just a bit deeper there? Because I think a part of the history that we've not connected, and we don't talk about very often, is the history of slavery in Belize.
Yeah.
And there was an exhibit a few years back, definitely within the past 10 years, where we started to kind of chip away at opening that discussion. But it's not something we openly discuss.
Yes, that's very true, actually. One of the things that we've been fighting with is this narrative that, everything, it's almost like, in Belize, everything, the history of Belize, everything was so cool, everything was dandy.
Yeah.
Everybody was living in peace, and there was, it's almost like a nostalgic feel to it then.
Yeah.
We also need to understand who were the storytellers and what was their purpose. So there's a purpose in writing history, there's a purpose in teaching history, and there's a purpose, of course, in sharing a particular ideology. For a number of times, I think that the history of slavery, as it relates to Belizean history, have also been undermined. And some people would even say, slavery was better in Belize than in the rest of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
They were treated better in Belize anyway. But to me, it's an issue of human dignity, and it's an issue of agency. When you are put, a slave basically denotes that you're a property. You have no say, you have no agency. Slavery is slavery, whichever way you take it. You're being forced to do things that you do not want. You're being overworked, you're being abused. And obviously, that's something that we need to clash with to an extent. We need to learn all of this because it shows the reality of slavery in Belize. And to an extent, I believe that the null or the non-celebration of Emancipation was an effort as well to try to, push under the rug all of this history of slavery.
Delmer, I wonder how many Belizeans, if they should look back, would actually find that they have some sort of slave history in their lineage.
No, I mean, yes, and that's actually a topic that is, again, touching. You understand? Some people are not too comfortable with discussing that sort of reality, where either you're a descendant or either your ancestors were masters. And it's something that we need to, realize and basically deal with. It's a process of reconciliation, a process of, to an extent, reparation of the soul as well. But as I said, to me, this whole issue is an issue of human dignity and human rights, where we cannot hide the reality that the slave trade was human trafficking. You understand? It was human trafficking.
And where do we even begin with dealing with these sensitive matters?
Well, to me, it all starts with having a rootedness. In other words, we're trying to discover that sense of being, with that sense of identity. It is important for us as Belizeans to understand where we come from, to understand what connections we have. And I am talking about even myself. I am of Maya heritage, but I believe that I have a connection to Africa as well.
Yeah.
To understand that and also mitigate all of those stages of history with the lens of trying to say, how do we deal with these different traumas that our people have been going through in order to create this Belize that we're living in today.
So let's go back to some of the work that the slaves were brought to Belize, then British Honduras, to be able to do. Let's try to trace it back a bit and build connections.
Okay, so one of the things that you need to understand is that the early records show that by 1724, some of the enslaved population was already, or there was a number of enslaved people in British Honduras already. But if you want to find the origins of this, let's go back a bit to the Spanish before we get into the British. When the Spanish Empire basically clashed with America, their initial aim was to get a labor force from the native people of the Americas. In fact, Christopher Columbus was saying, enslave the Taínos. But the Queen was against that. And then you have a priest coming along, Bartolomeo de las Casas. And the priest said, he wanted to protect the natives of America. He said, why don't we go to Africa? They have people over there. Let's bring them across and use them as a labor force. Unfortunately for him and for his legacy, that particular suggestion also pushed this whole idea of going to Africa to get free people, convert them into captives, and bring them into America. in the Caribbean, the enslaved population were used primarily in the sugar plantations. As it relates to British Honduras, they were primarily used in the extraction of lagwood and mahogany. In fact, the amount of enslaved people that you had was also a condition for the amount of, or the size of your mahogany camp per se, or the camp where you're going to extract. The enslaved population were brought in, and it was a very inhumane practice. Records show that the Europeans, you had the Dutch had the Dutch West India Company, the British also had the Royal Caribbean, the Royal Adventurers Company, where they would go into Africa, negotiate. Some of them would negotiate with African kings in Africa, or some of them would go directly and raid as well. This would happen in the latter part of the slave trade. But they would do night raids within the chaos, capture people, take them to the port cities, and then take them to the port areas where they would sell them to these companies, put them in barracoons, ship them in a phase that is called the Middle Passage, which is the most inhumane passage, where they would basically, like sardines, be put on boats and sent off into America. Many of them died in that process. Many of the captives died in that process. And when they would reach the Caribbean, and they would either be sold in auctions. So you could imagine you're an object, you're being auctioned to the highest bidder. And then there was also another process or another way of selling people, which was through the scramble method. So they would put 4 or 5 people and put a price to them. And then the masters in the Caribbean would just jump into the ship and try to assess if the cost was right, and then pay for a set of captives. All of this was dehumanizing, of course. So many of the African of the captives that were brought into British Honduras were taken or were bought in Jamaica. Once they came here, some of them were working in towns, while the others were going into camps to go and extract lagwood and mahogany. So you had there were different occupations at camp. You had the huntsmen. The duty of the huntsman was basically to search for the locations that had the trees. You had the axemen, which would be to, of course, chop down the tree. And then you also had the cattlemen, which would be the one dragging the logs to the riversides or to the riverbanks when they would be sent down the river. And then, of course, you also had a group of people that were dealing with food production.
Well, so where does the narrative come from that the slaves in Belize live differently or live better than those in the rest of the Caribbean? Is it based on the type of work that they were doing?
It was based on the type of work that they were doing, primarily because you had a supervisor, which is presumed a white man out there, along with 4 or 5 enslaved Africans. And these enslaved Africans, of course, had some form of a machete or something to chop down these trees. So it is presumed that they were treated better because of that. Again, even though those statements are there, to me, slavery is slavery. You can't really, you understand? As I said, that is the basis that is being used to say that slavery in Belize was more humane to an extent.
You know, Delmer, I think it shouldn't be lost on us the significance of sugar in the slave trade at the time. Sugar was really considered gold. This product that the Europeans used to make their tea, for example, came at the cost of many African descendants, blood, sweat, and tears. Sugar, this product that we now use in Belize, that we now produce in Belize to boost our economy, slavery was really an economic development strategy. It was a trade per se, sugar for slaves.
No, I think you are right. Sugar was one of the big boosters in this whole process, actually. Before, in the Caribbean, before sugar, it was tobacco and indigo. They were producing that. But of course, it required sort of less labor. But once sugar became the dominant product, it was a labor-intensive process. And that sort of began creating a higher demand for labor. And obviously, as we had stated, through what the Tainos and the natives in the Americas were not being enslaved so systematically as the ones that were being brought in. You understand? And that is one of the reasons as to why you have this trade booming so much. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight quite importantly is the fact that from the onset, the people that were being captured were resisting. A lot of times when we talk about emancipation, a lot of people like to say, it only occurred in the chambers in England, and it was a legal process. And 1807 with the abolition of the slave trade, and 1834 with passing of the Emancipation Act, and then eventually the ending of apprenticeship by 1838. It was all a legal process.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. But there was an enormous pressure. There was an enormous show of resistance by the enslaved population. And they did this in two ways. One, where you had more rebellious activities that were violent. So they would rebel and take over, for example, a whole plantation or a whole camp. They would take over camps in Belize or British Honduras at that point. And actually there are various reports or various instances where the settlers of British Honduras are calling for support from the crown because the enslaved population were rising up. And that's another thing that we need to highlight as well, that the population imbalance was a lot. In other words, the need for labor meant that they were importing or bringing in a lot more people than the white population in the settlement.
Yeah. They were outnumbered.
Yeah.
Yes, they were outnumbered, exactly, and they feared for their lives, actually.
Yeah.
And when the enslaved, or the people that were, unfortunately enslaved, when they rose, they had a potential of actually, taking over the settlement. And that was one of the ways that they were resisting. But the second way that they were resisting were more subtle ways, not doing the work properly, faking that they do not understand instructions. That sort of things were also things that they were using to resist slavery. So to me, that is also a push towards emancipation, because obviously, if there is no show of resistance, if there is no show of revolt and so forth, that would mean that they are just complacent to the whole situation, and then what would push this whole agenda towards emancipation itself.
Yeah. And as you said, it was the abolishment of slavery officially started on August 1st, but it wasn't, from being a slave to being completely free. There was an actual period of transition. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, so by 1834, and one of the things that we need to highlight here is that who was being benefited as a result of the transition that was happening. One of the things that I always talk about is apprenticeship. The apprenticeship period is the last 4 years before emancipation.
Yeah.
Apprenticeship was something that was done to the benefit of the masters, to give them, initially it was 6 years, then it was lowered to 4, to give them more years of free labor. And it was masked under the idea that they needed to help the former enslaved transition into freedom. You understand? They needed to train them and tell them, what, this is how your work, your week of work is going to happen. This is how you're going to get more or less paid and so forth. But obviously, what that was doing is that it was benefiting primarily the masters, who directly after 1834 were treating the ex-enslaved almost like slaves. You understand? It was so blatant. You understand? And that's one of the things that we need to highlight as well, that when this process was happening, there was some resistance by the masters. In the Caribbean, there is something called as the West India interests. And the West India interests are something that was in the English Parliament battling against emancipation and battling against the abolition.
During that time, did we, of emancipation, when it finally came about, did we see any sort of mass exodus? I'm wondering if Africans who had their roots there in Africa, if they decided, you know what, it's time for us to go back home, if they even in fact had the resources to do so, or whether they decided, well, this is our land now, this is our home, and this is where we'll settle.
Well, many of them, yeah, but one of the things that you need to note is that slaves were not paid, right? They were not paid. Some of them would have their little agricultural farmland on the side, but it was not like they were generating big money per se. You also had some free colors in the settlement. But when they got, or when emancipation happened, the masters placed blocks so that they would, one, stay, two, they would return to their ex-masters to work. So as I had stated previously, land was something that within the masters, they would just be getting for free. They put a price during the period of abolition and emancipation. They put a price to land now to avoid having the ex-slaves take over land. They began to institute the Masters and Servants Act, which would be contracts that would be binding again the ex-enslaved with the ex-master. And a lot of abuses happened throughout that process where the magistrates and even the police force was being used against the people. And then, of course, as I had stated, there were also cultural things such as the advance and truck system that would be tying these people or the ex-enslaved to the ex-masters. But as it relates to a mass exodus, I honestly, I cannot comment on that because I do not, from my recollection or my studies, I have not come across any record stating that there was a mass record of people or a mass exodus of people moving out of the colony.
Yeah. Tamar, let's bring it back to today for a moment and let's just dive a bit into why from your perspective, and I know it's a group of historians that, I mean, we've been talking about African and Maya history, I don't know for how long, and the fact that these aren't necessarily parts of our history lesson that we dive very deep into. Why is it that you feel that the conversation about slavery in Belize is not one that is as robust as what we see in other parts of the Caribbean?
Well, I think one of the things that I need to highlight is not only slavery. That's the whole problem to me. That history is something that, you know, it's interesting. Some people talk about it, but within the formal educational system, there is no course such as saying Belizean history per se. Or, and when I talk to formal, I'm talking high school, primary school. We get Belizean history until you go to a sixth form, and at that level, there's another level of understanding. And let's be real, the course is very intensive, and it's at another level. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that there is not much debate about history on a whole. It's not only about slavery, it's about history on a whole. But one of the things that we also need to understand is that we need to move away from the ideas of just simply glorifying the past and glorifying everything to a phase where we need to be critical about the history of our country. We need to be critical about the lessons that were there so that we can leave a better understanding of why things happen and the way things happen to our children. And I think that is where a culture needs to be created of questioning, a culture of being able to cope with the raw truth and being able to cope with different views of the past.
It's also
Yes.
I'm sorry to interject there. I was just thinking, you know, it's also a foundation to building identity. You know, when you really understand at your core where you come from and your connections. But you raise such an interesting point. So you don't feel that the social studies curriculum, and I think I had civics growing up too, those were kind of the original, the elementary level Belizean history that we got. You don't feel that these dive deep enough into the history of our country?
I don't feel so. And the reason for it is because I believe that in almost every other country, there is a history base. And history is a story that tells everything else. In other words, I could tell you about civics, about climate change, about life in Belize, all through history. And that criticality is what is important to me, because it gives you an understanding of why we should learn all of this. And one of the things that you mentioned to me is very important, which is identity and rootedness, where what you're trying to do is to search for that root line of how is it that I belong to this nation. And that to me is something that is done through history, where you understand the formation of this modern state from its pre-colonial origins up to today. You know, you understand there were activities that shaped the beliefs that we have today.
Right, and that's not to interrupt, but you're going there, so I wanted to ask, based on your knowledge of history, the vast knowledge that you have, what are some of the remnants of slavery that we can identify in our culture and our society today?
Remnants, are you saying?
Yeah, the remnants of it, you know, the things that we see now that perhaps were passed down to us from our history, slave history.
Okay, well, one of the things that I'm going to mention, one of the controversies actually, which was the Paslow building. Again, that is evidence that we are not aware of some of our own history. Thomas Paslow was a slave owner, one of the ruthless ones. And there was a resistance to naming the building the Paslow building again. And the reason for that was primarily because of these historical facts that are out there, where a group of activists are basically saying, look, this is, yes, you have a building, but that's part of the remnants of slavery. Do you really want to glorify that just for glorifying sake? And this is where I go to the ideas of heritage and cultural heritage, tangible heritage, where what is the purpose or why is it that we're glorifying certain things? Because I can, for example, give you or show you shackles. That could be a symbol of heritage. But should we glorify that? With what perspective are we showcasing that? That is where I think we need to come with more critical views, more questioning of those particular aspects of history. You understand? We should not, for example, as I stated, highlight Thomas Paslow as a savior. He was a slave owner. He was someone that was, one of the most ruthless in Belize.
And it took 35 years and on the brink of being renamed Paslow Building and a bit of protest to get to the point where the name change took place. I mean, admittedly, we're still a young country, and so we are learning as we go along as well. But I'm interested to know, Delmar, when you talk with students who perhaps this is their first introduction into understanding our own history, what's it like for them, that enlightenment that they get then?
Well, the reaction that I get is that they're very excited, actually. And when you talk about history, when you talk about the past, there's a lot of excitement because they begin to think about, how was life back then? And one of the things that I try to emphasize a lot is imagination. So imagine if you were going through this. So there are a lot of encountered emotions for many of them. But when they realize what was happening and when they realize from a different perspective, the story of Belize, it is empowering to many of them. And that is where, for me, I like to collect expressions from them through poems, through songs, through even speeches where they impersonate characters in history. Nice. And that particular process shows me that they are reflecting. And that is very important to me. Because when they reflect, that means that something is going and they're thinking about something. Something is going on in their mind. And that process is what brings you towards rootedness and identity.
Yeah. Are you concerned that this now national commemoration of Emancipation Day, that the message behind it is going to be lost?
I am concerned, but I am also, as I started off with stating that I am looking at the list of events that are going to happen at the different municipalities and also the different organizations now collaborating. I am concerned, but I am also, to an extent, calm about it because I am looking at the different approaches that are being taken, and the different approaches showcase a strong bias towards educating people about why is it that this is important. And to me, that is soothing because it showcases that we are worried or we want to do it right. Because we are worried about the significance of it, for people to understand what is meant with Emancipation Day. But overall, as I had stated, I am very excited and happy that it has reached, that the topic of emancipation has reached the national stage, and people are actually talking about this topic as an important topic for Belize's development.
It was originally Freedom Day, I think, and
Yes.
then they went
Yes,
back
yes.
to Emancipation Day. How do you feel about that?
Well, for me, as I had stated, both days would have been fine to me.
Okay.
To me, the name is yes, it's important, but to me, freedom, emancipation, they're
Same thing.
synonyms to me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, Marlene and Delmer, when I think about the day, it's a day for celebrating freedom, but it's also a day of somberness, a day to reflect on our history and our past, and it's a day to consider what our future will look like. Delmer, speak to a bit of what progression do you think, what progress do you think we should make, what steps do you think we should make moving forward as a culture, as a people, considering the history that we've had with slavery?
Well, as you mentioned about the day of emancipation, it's a day of somberness. I personally get very emotional. I get very emotional with these topics in particular, because of the reality that I always, or for the past 3-4 years, I participated in the libation that happens, that Sister Yaya Marin organizes. And it always touches me that when I look out to the Atlantic or to the Caribbean Sea, you know, the significance of the things that happen there. Like it's a source of hope for many, but yet when you look at it and you think about slavery, it touches you, and it's very emotional, because it tells you, you know, that there were many injustices happening in our past. But as I had stated, we need to reach to a moment of reconciliation, of stating with ourselves and basically reflecting on ourselves, to learn about why this is important. Learning, to me, and learning this process, learning its significance, is one of the most important steps that we need to take going forward as a people. Because that's the only way we're going to be generating consciousness, and we're going to empower ourselves to make change for this nation.
I think that's such a great way to close off the conversation this morning. Delmer, we only scratched the surface this morning. I acknowledge that. But we didn't want the day to come around without having people at least know what we can reflect on when August 1st comes around, and what it means for us as a country that we are acknowledging this part of our history. Thank you so much, Delmer.
Thank you, Delmer.
Thank you as well. Well, I encourage everybody to participate in the celebrations.
Yeah.
I think there will be a lot online. You have a lot of events online. If you can, well, I don't think we're allowed to join or have any big celebration, but if you can join in any way, it's historic. Even if it's just a 1-minute meditation on what happened, it's important for you to do that for Belize.
That's right. That's right. There are a number of activities. I know Niche has some of them posted on their site. We had Musa Shahid with us, and they're doing drums, not guns. The band is doing a Sambai celebration as well, so you can actually tune into that virtually. So we all have a way to be able to connect with the significance of the day. Thank you again, Delmer. Stay safe. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we have double the fun, actually. Our junior co-hosts are going to be, they've been showcasing some of the activities that kids can get involved in over the summer. And so we have another Out and About with our junior co-hosts, AJ and Noelle.
This time around, they did some art, I understand.
Know. So I'm sure they're much better at it than we are.
Children and art, they love it. So yes.
Then Jenny comes back with talking about mental stress. We do encourage you to send in your questions. She's going to be with us, and she'll be able to respond to any of the questions or concerns that you have when you're talking about dealing or coping with stress. That's coming up after the break, so stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Why, Tony?
Why, kid, what you go on, man?
But I actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just routed the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardena village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
And welcome back to episode 3 of Out and About with AJ and Noelle. So AJ, what are we going to be doing today?
We are going to be doing art at the stationery house.
So AJ, what does art mean to you?
Art means to me is how people can express themselves and their imagination. So how about you?
Well, for me, it's like you can have fun, make a masterpiece, and like it's how artists can express how they feel about themselves, and there's like different ways that you can paint.
All right, let's begin.
Hi, AJ and Noelle, and welcome to the Stationery House. My name is Mrs. Alamia. I'm the manager here, and I'll be your art teacher for today.
All right, nice to meet you, Mrs. Alamia.
Nice to meet you guys too. We're gonna take the tapes, we're gonna tape them all up from the edges, and we're gonna put the gold metal acrylic paints. So we use all acrylics on this painting, and we're gonna take it and overlay it over the painting. Okay, just like that. Okay, so you take it, yes, exactly. You tape it down, put a little pressure on it. You could take the other piece, and we're going to do a design. So you could take this piece and put it the opposite way, from here to this point. It's okay if you have it over the board, over the edge. So you're gonna do all like this way. Yes, in that direction. So you'll need longer pieces.
Yeah.
Remember your spacing. This one easier to do? So now we're gonna get to the fun part, painting. So yeah, you could use any of these brushes. This is a wider one if you want to use a wider one. So just dip your paintbrush and then you, if you want, you could go with the flow of the lines like this.
I think
See?
I'll pick
and then like this.
smaller one because I want to go like in the line.
Okay.
In between.
Whichever one you feel comfortable with. We're going to paint over the tapes that you guys have already placed on the painting. Do you want to start, AJ?
Yeah.
All right, you know what to do.
Dip it in.
Yep. So your painting is covered completely. So now, what do you think the next step is?
Do we take off the tape?
No, before taking off the tape, what do you think the next step is?
Let it dry?
Yes, it needs to dry. Good job. So we need to let the paint dry. So we're using acrylic paints today. So that means that it won't take a long time to dry. It would take maybe about an hour and a half to dry.
Hour and a half?
Yes. So we're using acrylic paints today. We also have watercolor paints that you guys can use. This is more water-based. So this is also a quick dry, not as quick as acrylic. And you also have oil paints.
We're painting gold.
This is your big reveal.
This is a real masterpiece. Thank you, Mrs. Alamia. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys for being here. What part did you guys enjoy most?
The painting. Definitely the painting.
And the taping? Was it second favorite?
That's the second.
All right. And what did you guys learn today?
Well, we learned that acrylic paint, it dries quicker than oil colors or water paint.
So if you guys are looking for any of these mediums, we have them right here at the stationery house. We have oils, acrylics, and watercolors. We have everything that an artist is looking for, brushes, and arts and craft for the kiddos.
Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Bye.
You know, I'm jealous. Our junior co-hosts get to have so much more fun than we do.
Right? We should bring
They're
some
out
art stuff
painting.
on set and do something. That was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, out and about with AJ and Noelle. And so we'll see where they're headed next week and what they'll be up to. But we are shifting gears now, and we are talking to the one and only Jenny Lovell, mental health therapist. Good morning.
Good morning, but I'm not seeing you guys.
Uh-oh. Don't you worry. You can still hear us, and we'll get it sorted. But we are live, Jen, so we can see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing fine. It's Friday. It was a stressful week in a sense, so it's good to have this conversation with you this morning.
Oh my gosh, I'm stressed this morning, let me tell you.
Okay.
Oh, don't be. Please don't be. But, you know, Jenny, I have been dying to ask you because this week with the recent story about Simone Biles, I just feel that this conversation about coping with stress is really just out in the forefront. In the international media, you know, they're discussing it every day. There are different opinions on her decision, and her decision is her decision. But let's just dive right into that. The idea that people who seem high functioning and high performing can also cave under the pressure of stress.
Yes, but she's also, if you look at her body, look at her eyes, look at her eyebrows, she's depressed. Adapt to the stress. Adapt to stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can look at her eyes they are lifeless almost. She's definitely depressed, added with the added stress.
Yeah.
Now, that would be too much to manage.
And this is something I think that people have a hard time understanding. You know, when someone portrays themselves as strong and successful as such a great athlete as she is, and very often we talk about athletes and how they build their own mental strength.
Toughness.
Yeah, in the discipline of their sport, but it's almost hard for people to be able to connect the two. That you can be this monster athlete, but also struggle with mental health issues as well.
Because we're human beings. We are human beings, and things happen so quickly.
Yeah.
You know? And going on the world stage again, right? Going out on the world stage, and she has to perform, and I am sure there's something else going on with her.
Yeah.
I hope she's seeing someone, or that the doctors have approached her or something there at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because then she won't be able to function in anything else, really and truly. But she is definitely depressed as well as super stressed. The two things do not go together.
So the argument that people have made is, well, you sign up for this. This is the world level sporting event. You know, like you asked for that, you worked for this. This comes with the territory, this type of stress. And I want to use that as an example for what I know is part of our conversation today, where you are seeing more and more people having a hard time coping with the levels of stress at this time.
Oh boy. Let me tell you something. You work, you practice, you put in your all into this. Then something happens. And with stress, stress can come on. You have no idea. Yes, she knows she's going out there and she'll be competing against all kinds of people from all over the world, right? But you add something else to that, and then you have this situation. It's overwhelming. And we're talking today about the different types of stress.
Yeah.
You know, you have just the basic stress that everyone has. I woke up late and I need to get to work. That's stressful. But if you add the eustress, good stress. Eustress is I'm going to the Olympics and I might bring back some medals. That's eustress. It's good stress. Well, guess what? It's good stress coupled with other things that becomes toxic stress. You see, stress it tends to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy we're talking about that today, because really and truly, people get overwhelmed if it's too much. It's too much for a prolonged period of time. Yeah. And then it overtakes you.
Yeah.
Some people end up, you could end up in a hospital with more than acute stress at this point. It becomes definitely something way bigger.
Yeah.
We're going through this and we'll talk about it, but I tell you, I look at her and I feel for her.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their say in it, and she still has to go and show her face out there every day and be very composed. I think this woman is so strong. She is really such a strong person.
Yeah. See, I share that sentiment. I think the strength it took to say it's too much is beyond anything she could have done on that floor.
Yes.
But that's not something that's culturally or as widely accepted.
Even in the workplace, how many of our bosses would accept us saying, Marlene, you're my boss. How many of our bosses would accept us saying, you know, it's becoming real burdensome in the office, and I need to step back. I really need to take a break, half day maybe, an entire day to really reevaluate my mental health.
You know, there are things like mental health days that in other parts of the world are acknowledged. And it's not something I think for us here that we're at, but we
have those, Marlene.
Well, we just use them as sick days,
We have mental health days built into our, the government gives you X number of sick days. Those are mental health days. You don't have to get sick to take those. Those are mental health days that you should be able to use and access when the stress becomes to the point where it's almost overwhelming. But that's why you have sick days, so that you can take that mental day and rejuvenate yourself. We don't see it like that here.
We don't.
We don't see it like that here. But other parts of the world, those sick days are actually mental health days that you need to take them. I know people who boast that, oh, I have 200 sick days. You shouldn't be boasting about that.
Or vacation days. Like, I don't think it's a good thing if you're just accumulating vacation days, because it shows that you're not taking a break. But this is the point, though, because we are like, it's a really interesting place that we're at. There is the culture of being proud of hard work and long hours and excess productivity. And then there's also this other narrative that, and as I said with this conversation with Simone Biles, where we're starting to see that it just is not physically and mentally possible to be so solely dedicated on this goal. Now, let's dive into your presentation, because you say there are two aspects of stress. There's the stress that we need to kind of keep ourselves going. But then there is the negative stress.
The negative stress. The positive stress keeps us motivated. You know, I tell you, there are lots of us, and I say us. We perform best when we're under pressure. We get the best work done. You know, you throw something at me, and I can get out there, and you know, I can get on my hands and my feet and do somersaults and do all that stuff and get the work done. Right? I get it done. There are lots of people like that. But if you do that too often, then it begins to have wear and tear on your body. You can't keep that up all the time. Or you can't sustain that for long periods of time either. Right? So no, we have to pace ourselves. Yes, there are occasional times when we have to get out there and really, really push and be under the pressure. But that's not something you want to constantly do. It's like taking a rubber band and you pull that rubber band as taut as you can get it. You don't want to have that rubber band like that all the time, because if you do, it will break. And it will still hurt you in the process. The idea is that you can pull that rubber band for a period of time to get what you want done. But you cannot do that all the time.
So,
and that's how we are constantly. We are like that rubber band pulled out here all the time.
At what point does it reach acute and chronic stress?
Okay, chronic stress is when you're like this every day. Like, I think you're a reporter, right?
Yes, I am.
So you go out there every day, don't you?
I do.
You have to go out
most
there every
days,
day, and you have to get behind the stories.
Yes.
So you're at a level of stress daily, aren't you?
Indeed.
And then you have to get to the news on time with that.
Right, we have a deadline daily.
You have all these deadlines you have to meet. you have all these things that you have to meet on a daily basis. So your job, you have to be doing things to ensure that at the end of the day, you take time to put your body back into stasis. And I don't think we, as a country of people, we don't look at that.
Nope.
We cannot constantly be under that level of stress on a daily basis. It's not just reporters, you, Marlene.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're juggling all kinds of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And that's okay for a little bit, but you've got to take one day a week where you kind of slow things down, or in the evening time, you find things that you do to de-stress your body at the end of the day. Do some meditation, do some deep breathing, do something to de-stress yourself. Give your body back what it needs to calm itself down.
To bring that balance, yeah.
Yeah,
to bring that
don't do
balance,
that.
yeah.
We, as a country, we do not do that. It's constant.
And you know, I think it's one of those things where do you, and it is generational, I'll say that much, because I know the work ethic that my mother taught me is very different from what we now know and understand about balancing life and work.
Right.
And so it was very different once upon a time. Now we're kind of like in a flux situation where it's like you got to take care of yourself, but you still have to be productive. But the question is, though, Jenny, some people have their coping mechanisms. The concern is when people don't, and the effects, the long-term effects of stress and what it can do can be very debilitating. And I want us to talk about what are some of the signs that you can look out for? What are some of the things that we can say, okay, this is definitely near crisis or at crisis with chronic stress?
Okay, so before we get to chronic stress, let me just throw this in here.
Mm-hmm.
People don't just have work that they're dealing with, you know.
Of course.
It's not just work that they're dealing with. You have children. And right now with COVID, people are at home working with their children in the home that they're not accustomed to. And the children are accustomed to having the parents there seeing everything that they're getting into. So you have work, you have home, you have the deadlines you still have to meet, you still have to figure out how to get cook and do all these things. So people are juggling lots of things that they didn't have to before. Okay?
Yeah.
So you were stressed before when you go only to work.
Yeah.
The stresses were at work. When you come home, there's a little bit of stress there, but it's not maximized like it is now. Now you have all these things every day, all day, on a daily basis.
And no escape.
Nowhere to go to.
Yeah.
You can't escape and say you go to your room because all the kids are there. Or that kid is there. Right? Your husband might be there too because he has to stay home and work too. True. So you have to get up, you have to cook. Oh my gosh. All the things that people are now juggling, right? Yeah. They're making less money. Yeah. That is chronic stress. Mm-hmm. And when people get to a point where it's so much and they're overwhelmed, lots of things can happen. You know, people explode. They might do things they wouldn't normally do, like possibly hit the children, scream at the children, get into altercations with their spouse, their loved one. I mean, so many things, and we see it and hear it every day. Yeah. I mean, look at, okay, so you're really stressed out. Yeah. There are things you need to do to take care of yourself.
And it can have a physical manifestation too. You could have, it takes a toll on your body. You can have sleep affected, develop chronic conditions.
Your stomach, you get problems with your stomach. People are talking about, they have to drink things every day to calm their stomach down because they get the acid reflux. I mean, the physical manifestation of this is really, really bad. You can't have this every day. You absolutely cannot. You've got to find things to do to settle your body back down at the end of the day. And I really believe that every day at the end of the day, you've got to take time for yourselves when things calm down in the home. Your husband goes to sleep or he leaves with his friends for a little bit before curfew. Before curfew, no. Or your children go to bed and you're able to sit down and maybe do a little meditation. YouTube has so many different types of things that you can do to meditate, to just sit quietly and listen to some music quietly, to calm your mind down, calm your body down. It's critical that we're doing these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Or we'll see more people going over to see the psych nurses with what they used to call nervous breakdowns, mental breakdowns.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. It's too much.
So the key thing that I've seen in your presentation so far is, one, stress is unavoidable. It's also necessary. Everybody experiences it, but pay attention to when it accumulates and becomes too much.
Too much.
And ensure that you have an outlet available on a regular basis. Let's dive into some of those outlets.
Right.
It could be exercise. That's one way.
I can't see a thing up here, guys.
I know, but you can tell us. You know all this stuff,
Okay.
Jenny. So it could be exercise.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. And what
exercise? Make sure you take breaks during the day. Take breaks during the day. Mental health breaks. Just close your eyes and breathe.
Take your lunch hour. Yeah.
Go. Get away from the kids. Go down someplace and sit down. Drive your car up to in Belize City. Go down to the water and just sit. Water tends to calm you down. Call a friend. Talk to a friend and have them talk some nonsense with you. You know,
Yeah.
I have friends who call and they laugh. They get me laughing. So you tend to just put all the stuff aside for a little bit during the day and take care of yourself. Okay, very, very important.
That's right.
Listen to music. Turn on some music. I love turning on music because music has its own way of calming you. But do little things, just little things. And when you're under stress, you don't want to be eating heavy meals because that's what helps to give you the gas and give you all the problems with your stomach.
Yeah.
You want to eat small things every 2 hours. Eat small little meals. And when I say meals, little protein meals, bits of cheeses, some raisins, things throughout the day, every 2 hours to keep your blood sugar from falling too far, but that keep you up and out of stress. Okay?
So those are some of the coping mechanisms. Jen, let's talk about when it's probably a good idea to seek some help.
Okay. When the stress becomes so overwhelming that you're now checking out, you become depressed. Become depressed because you're not managing. You're not coping at the level that you used to, and you know it. You know it. And you also know that you do not have the resources within yourself to do it. Seek help.
That's
Go
right.
talk with somebody. Do not, people in our country, well, not only in our country, the stigma is out there everywhere. But people are so afraid of going to talk to a mental health professional.
Yeah.
And there are lots of us out there, by the way, but people are afraid to go and talk to mental health professionals about being stressed because it seems like a sign of weakness. It is not. We all go through it because we all think we're super women and supermen.
Yeah.
And we're not. Our bodies tell us we're not. We cannot keep up that level of intensity all the time. We can't do it. We have to take time to bring ourselves down and relax and take time for ourselves to have that mental wellness, that mental calm. And like I said again, take a few minutes out of the day just to put on some music, close your eyes and listen to it, and then pick the stress back up again.
Okay.
But take a few minutes for yourself.
That's right. I love your final slide because this is one I always say, and I always find myself, if I'm talking to somebody when they're in a tough spot, this is the one I remind them of. Jenny, let's talk about the serenity prayer, the power of the serenity. But even if you're not religious, this is just such a powerful message. Yeah.
Yes. God, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know what I can and can't change.
That's right. That's right.
And when all else is going around you and is falling down around you, say the serenity prayer.
Yeah.
But say it and understand what it's telling you.
Yeah.
Because there are times when you have to know, I have no control over this.
Recognizing your uncontrollables, yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
And be able to step back like Simone did. Simone is a strong woman. She's strong because she could see and know what she is not capable of managing.
Yeah.
And she stepped back and said, nope, I'm not doing it. I cannot handle it.
I do think it's such a pivotal moment for mental health to see what she did. You know, and I think it was a far, in my opinion, it was a far greater act than some of the gold medals that she has earned. To be able to say in that moment, in a society where people are very judgmental, that no, I don't have the mental capacity or the mental strength to do this at this moment. It doesn't mean I'm weak, but just not right now.
No.
Exactly. That takes strength. That takes mental fortitude, intestinal fortitude.
That's right.
To be able to do that. To be able to do that.
Well, Jenny, I feel less stressed just talking to you this morning.
I was going to say, I feel like
you look zen.
went through.
Look at you.
I mean, come on. Jenny always brings such a light voice to these conversations, such a warming and soothing voice. I feel like I went through an entire therapy session just now. Feel free to bill us whatever that cost. We'll pay.
But Jen, this is why we love having you on the show, reminding us once again, we've been talking about mental health for so long, and I do think that we minimize the impact of stress, and it was important to have this conversation.
Can I say one thing, Marlene?
Please.
Go ahead.
I really want to encourage people. Simone set the example for us. Know your own strength and know your own weaknesses. And when you are at that place where you know that I've reached my capacity, do something about it, please. Do something about it. That's my final word.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
All right. So with that, we'll go into our final break. No, our third break, sorry. And then we'll come back with MY Bites. My Bites, a business. So I'm gonna enjoy some food, find out what they're doing.
I see how distracted you are at the idea of food. I see a whole lot of stuff happening over there. We're gonna be cooking in just a bit, but we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in a few.
Right.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you gonna do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
Introducing Edam A cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A cheese at a supermarket near you. A cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Why, Tony?
Boy, Keith, what you going on, man?
I actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivors benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board. Safeguarding you, your family, your future.
All right, so welcome back. We're not sitting for this one, we're standing for this one, and we're excited for this one. We have MY Bites with us. The place already smells lovely, and they will be going through making some Mexican dishes with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Hi, good morning.
How are you all this morning?
Good.
So tell us, was that nervous?
Yes.
Oh man, don't be. Pretend you're in the kitchen, because you are in the kitchen. You're in your comfort zone. So just think about that. Speak to us about what you guys will be making for us this morning, and then we'll get a little bit into, you know, your story.
Okay, sure. So this morning we'll be making beef tortas, and we will be frying our fries for the salchipapas. So we can start with the beef tortas if you like.
Well, I just learned something new today, salchipapas, and we're gonna find out what those are like in just a bit. But let me just step back for a minute. We have Marvin Sanchez and Yesenia Poot, but I want to hear a bit more about your story as we get cooking. So you are a couple that faced a very common scenario last year. Working in two separate institutions, you both lost your jobs. Tell me a bit about what happened around that time.
Well, after the COVID hit us, we started to see that work was very slow and that we needed to, you know, find another alternative for an income, to make a better income for both of us. And we decided to, you know, to come up with an idea, and we started to selling food to our friends and relatives first. And because of the high demand, you know, they're always asking, when are you going to cook? What are you going to cook next? And something like that. So we decided, okay, well, we'll expand. We'll add more things to what we sell, and we will take the risk and venture into a small food business.
Yeah. Marvin, it had to be a tough time when they let you go.
It was really, really tough. But right now, because of COVID, everyone is starting to do their own things. So we just had to like step up and say, okay, we need to do something to try pay our bills. Yeah, it was really tough, but we finally like start something, and we're just trying to do something and then to pay our bills.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was it like venturing into cooking? Deciding, you know what, I'll join in on this venture and I'll go full-fledged.
Well, it was really hard. At the beginning, we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, it was really hard, but then, well, in the beginning, we started off with cheesy fries. Yeah, because like at the beginning I told her I love eating cheesy fries. So like we started off with the cheesy fries, and then a lot of our friends like it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. That
So
looks
from
delicious.
that, like we decided to try this same fries.
The salchipapa.
The salchipapa.
I like to say that name. All right.
I know, right?
And then it just grew from there.
Yes, it grew from there. We decided to incorporate a little bit of our background to it, because we both come from Mexican and Salvadorian backgrounds.
Okay.
So we decided to add a little twist to our dishes. So like to make the public, to make our customers try something new, because we don't have that here in Belize. So we tried to add something new that we don't have, and something that can be, you know, something that can sell, something that would be for the people's liking, that you can enjoy.
And so, you know, I think, I know you're worried about your oil over there.
Yes.
Marvin keeps watching his clothes. So let's start with some cooking.
Yeah.
We should start with the fries?
Yes.
All right, we can just keep talking while you're working.
Sure.
Right? So you started and you said, okay, I want to do something different because there's already a lot of food available everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And so you have your tortas. Talk about all the stuff that you offer.
Okay, we offer beef tacos, tortas, these salchipapas, and we have something called salvi fries also.
Oh,
Really hot.
that's a lovely sizzle right there.
We have something called salvi fries, which
Salty
is
fries?
Salvi.
Salvi fries. All
The
right.
salvi word comes from El Salvador,
Okay.
because it's originally from there.
And what's in that?
That is fries. We season them. We top it with mayonnaise, ketchup, and we put dry cheese, the Spanish white dry cheese.
Yes.
We add that on top.
The one you use at pupusas?
No.
No,
the one
dry
that's on the corn.
Yes, the
Oh,
one.
the one that's
Yes.
on the corn. All right.
Yes, we
There
add
it
that,
is.
and
Oh,
that is why we call salvi fries, because
Salvi
it's originally from El Salvador.
Okay, interesting.
Now, have you been surprised by the response from customers?
Yes, we have been very surprised. We have a number of customers that enjoy our food, and you know, we are very surprised that wow, it had the attention of other people.
Yeah.
You know, when we first started, we thought that it wouldn't sell, maybe people won't know what it is, but because they don't know what it is, they want to try it. And because of that, we have good response of people that buy from us, and we mostly sell beef tortas and salchipapas are people's
These are the two top sellers that we get to have here. Freshly made too.
Yes.
Now, let me ask the question, Marvin and Yesenia. Who was the better cook before? It gave you full credit. That's great. Did you have to teach him how to cook?
Yes.
What are some of the things? So what are some of the things that you had to learn?
Well, cook the meat, fry the fries, seasoning.
Yeah, finding the perfect match, the perfect taste
Okay.
to give, you know.
So you trained your own sous chef?
Yes, I trained him.
How long now have you guys been doing this?
We started last year just on the weekends, but we officially opened on February.
Wow.
So we don't have long in here, but we officially started selling more in February.
Some Mexican tacos?
Yes.
So where
Real Mexican tacos.
Where are you guys located? Do you have a store?
We are, well, it's a small spot because we're starting small. We're located in Belama Phase 4.
Okay.
And we are available for pickup and for delivery. Yes. We deliver all within the city limits.
Yeah. So there you have your beef already prepared. This is going to be for the tortas, right?
Yes.
And the tortas is essentially like a sandwich?
Like a sub sandwich.
Like a sub sandwich.
Yes.
Now, guys, I have to ask you what it feels like a year later. You know, it had to be a really scary time when you were working at a salon and you were working at a store, and you both realize you're unemployed or there's no work for you. And from that scary situation last year to where you are now, what does it feel like?
Well, it's really scary because at the beginning, like, we didn't have no job, so like we just need to do something.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the business is still growing. It's really small at the moment, but hopefully in the future it's going to grow and like help us pay our bills.
Apart from the nerves, like, what's the hardest part and most challenging part of starting something like this? Because I'm thinking many are watching and probably have ideas but are perhaps hesitant. What's the hardest part of starting?
Well, the hardest part of starting is that you are taking a risk yourself.
Yeah.
And you're investing the little money that you have. And so you're worried that, okay, am I going to sell? Am I not going to sell? Is the people going to accept what I am trying to bring? And that's the hardest part, is the risk that you take when you're venturing into this business.
Now, I know you didn't just sit back and success came. What are the things that you may have had to put in place behind that risk, that investment?
Well, we had to do a lot of thinking. We had to think we don't offer regular food. We try to add a twist to our food, so we had to really think, what is it that we're going to sell? What is it that can call the attention of people and have something different so it can call the attention? Because if you sell rice and beans, you find rice and beans everywhere. So there's a probability that you know that, okay, you're not going to sell, you might be selling or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. You have to really take the risk and really think about what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you came out with your torta. We see the menu there. Cheesy fries was your first thing on the menu because Marvin loves cheesy fries.
Yes. Yes, that was the first thing because he told me, you know what? They don't have a place that sells cheesy fries the way we want to eat it.
Which is what? Lots of cheese?
Lots of cheese, meat, pepper, because he also loves pepper. So we try to, our food as well. Like, we try to find something that we love. And try to give it to our customers.
Okay.
The way we like it, that's the way we sell it.
Okay, I think Marvin is telling you to fry up the sausage.
Yes. Okay. So,
So
this sausage is for the salchipapas.
Have you had salchipapas before?
I've never even heard the name. I'm excited to have salchipapas. And what are you making here for us at this point?
This is the beef tortas.
The beef tortas.
Yes.
Okay.
This
What's the
is
process in making that?
Well,
You know, is there any secrets you don't want to
yes.
put out right now?
The secret is in the meat, so I
It's
can't
in the
say
meat.
that.
That's all she said. She has the special beef for her beef torta.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it just consists of the lettuce, the tomatoes, the cheese, mayonnaise, and the meat. And this is what we sell, and people.
Is this regularly a breakfast or a lunch something that you...
You can eat it for breakfast, but we sell it more for lunch.
I'd have that for breakfast.
We sell it more for lunch.
You asked the question, I'm like, breakfast?
It looks like a healthy breakfast.
You get your gym in before. You could
Right.
to do
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Okay, I will start seasoning the fries.
Let's see.
We use
Now
the
we will
parsley.
see Marvin's new cooking skills, right?
Okay, we
You got to
use
do a
parsley.
fancy seasoning.
It's not really that fancy, just the basics of at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parsley.
Black pepper.
Some black pepper.
And some chili powder.
Ooh. Yeah, we love pepper too. Don't worry.
Yeah, we do.
And just shake it up.
So, what's your biggest sales night? Is it the weekend that
It's the
people buy?
weekend. It's on the weekends. It starts from Friday because we open Monday to Saturday. So Friday and Saturday is our busiest days. Yes.
And it's a team of two at this point?
Yes, only
So
two of us
it's
at
just
this
a team
point.
of two at this
Yes.
point. All right. I foresee that at some point in time, as the business grows and expands, you may need to, you know, bring in some extra help,
Yes.
some extra hands.
Okay, so the fries are done. So we just add this.
You know, Marlene, it's a simplicity for me.
Yeah.
It's a simplicity in these dishes, and yet they smell and they look so great.
Oh, I know. So we got fries and sausage, but it's not over yet, right?
This we will top it with mayonnaise and ketchup.
So did people know about salchipapas before?
Well, if you have been to Chet at the park, they sell these. But
Okay.
They don't sell it like the way we put it, but
Okay.
they have something similar to it.
Okay.
I've never thought about adding sausage to my fries. I've never thought, man, I have some sausage in the fridge, and I have some fries, let me go and put them together and make such a beautiful dish.
But it does look good, I gotta say that much. And that is?
The pepper.
Pepper sauce.
That looks like a very lethal pepper.
It is.
Delicious. You know it, right? When you see the black flakes from the roasted pepper, you know that's gonna be a hot one.
Yes.
So there you have it. This is our beef torta. Oh, and we have the fries. See, Marvin gave you your fries.
With the fries.
Yes, the fries.
So you can get it with or without fries?
Yes, with or without fries.
We have a beef torta and we have salchipapas. What do you want it here?
And then this is the pepper for the beef torta.
For the torta.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And this is MY Bites. What
Yes.
number do people call if they want to get in touch with you?
We have a business number which is 607-1385.
And your hours where you're open?
We are open from 11:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Okay. And is it better for people to order?
Yes,
Ahead of time?
They can order ahead of time because we do everything fresh. So you can order ahead of time, and you can. We also deliver, so you can pick up or you can ask for delivery.
Alright, so there you have it, Yesenia and Marvin. Thank you so much. Your story. I want to try the food, but I think for me the biggest story just is that people have had a really tough time through
Yes.
COVID. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and we love having the story where people have been able to become entrepreneurs through this experience. You think you'll stick with the food?
Yes.
Yeah, you like being in charge of your own business.
Yes.
I'm ready to try it, Paul. I don't know about you.
I am also ready
What are you
to
gonna
try.
do? I'm going for the salchipapas.
Well, I'm going for the fries first here.
All right. I'm just gonna touch that pepper.
You have to test the pepper first.
Mmm.
That's good.
Mmm. Okay. I am sold.
Yeah.
All of that together, it just works.
It works. It's really good.
All right. Thank you so much, Yesenia. Thank you so much, Marvin. Thank you for cooking for us this morning and sharing your story.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take our final break now. When we come back, we'll have our wrap-up. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
It's time to put your TVs on lockdown. COVID won't stop us this time. After a year of waiting, Summerfest is back, pandemic style. If you're under the age of 18 and you think you have the talent, we are looking for you. Submit videos to us on Facebook, Instagram, and email, or join us here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive to audition from July 26th to 30th from 10 a.m. to midday. Be a part of Summerfest 2021 and show Belize your talent.
All right, so we're back.
I'm still eating salchipapas.
I know it made my...
You know, just so you know. But it is absolutely delicious, and we want to say thank you to Yesenia and Marvin for coming in and telling us about their story and also making a bit of some of their hot items that they have for sale.
Such an inspiring story.
Yeah, we do have a giveaway alert, though. I want people to know that. So we have a giveaway from MY Bites.
Okay.
And you are going to be able to walk away with a prize for today. You know how this works, right? Get to your phone, get to your computer, find Facebook, go to Open Your Eyes BZ, and get ready for the question because it's coming up in just a few. We'll tell you, you will be winning a treat this Friday of your salchipapas.
Salchipapas.
I think you like that word.
I love that word.
Right. So, and that's courtesy MY Bites. And all you have to do is get on or live stream and comment the correct answer first, and you will answer, where is MY Bites located and what's their phone number? All right, so you get around to doing that. We'll tell you who the winner is in just a bit. But we want to say thank you to all our guests for today.
Yeah, well, we started off with that Emancipation Day conversation, just looking back at the history of slavery in the region and in Belize, how we've progressed as a country, how we've progressed, our culture has progressed, and the further developments that we need to have, the things that we need to see moving forward into the future.
That's right. And we also want to give a big shout out to our junior co-hosts, AJ and Noelle, who went out to do some painting today. Thank you for sharing that. Remember, parents, this is a great opportunity to take time to do activities with the kids. We know you've been home with them for a long time, but it is really great to build memories, whether it's making art together or doing activities.
Yeah, and then finally we're wrapping up with, well, we wrapped up our third segment, my favorite part of the show today, with the MY Bites and their inspirational story.
You love when there's food.
I love when there's food, and so be sure to invite me on every time there's food. You'll have a good co-host in you.
All right, but you know, I think for us the story really just is about how, like many other people, Marvin and Yesenia had to face the unemployment that came along with COVID-19 and the pandemic. And they, like many others, have been able to tap into their entrepreneurial talent and create something to be able to help themselves survive and now have their own business. And that business, as you, Frankie Stein, know, is located in Belama Phase 4. And Frankie Stein, of course, that means you are our winner. You get to pick up a Friday treat of salchipapas, just as we made this morning.
Frankie Stein again, you know. Frankie Stein keeps winning our prizes.
Really?
We'll probably get an end of the year prize for being one of the more prize
We have a lot of dedicated viewers, and they know
Yes.
once we say giveaway alert, they're ready.
Congratulations, Frankie Stein.
All right, but we do appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much. Remember, it is a long weekend, but do remember we have a curfew in place, and please, please stay safe, Belize. In the meantime, if you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize. Remember to tune in on Tuesday morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your mind right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind, and your hearts open.
And your hearts open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day and weekend, Belize.
Enjoy.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.